Okay, so I would like to welcome you all in the SMERF training focused on data-driven approaches toward more energy and material efficient SMEs. We have 4 speakers together with us, but firstly, before I introduce them one by one, I would like to give a quick overview about the SMERF project. My name is Laura Fotolova and I represent Technical University of Košice and the SMERF project, which is an Central Europe project focused on helping and supporting SMEs and connecting different parties like academia, industry, and government all together to help support SMEs in 4 main SMERF pillars, which is innovation culture, digital manufacturing, open innovation and sharing economy, and last but not least, also a green and circular economy and sustainability. Our partnership consists of 8 partners from 7 countries. The lead partner of the project is Wrocław University of Science and Technology from Poland. Then we have Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. Then we have University of Genoa from Italy, Business Upper Austria from Austria, Central of Research and Technical Innovation from Italy, and Pan Business Network Association from Hungary, and Stepri Science and Technology Park from Croatia, and Technical University of Košice from Slovakia. Now a little bit of project actions that took place from SMERF. So one of the main ones was the Inspiration Knowledge Base, which gathers different interesting topics to help the SMEs. So mainly it was the success stories in the form of interviews, which can be found on our page readyforfuture.eu or our YouTube channel. It consisted of different experts talking about the success stories from their companies. Then we have best practices from different companies as well as innovation services. And last but not least, we have webinars, which took place around a year ago. And every webinar was focused on one of the pillars, and it also consisted of one expert talk on each pillar. Then we have our SMERF diagnosis tool, which is a self-assessment in all of our 4 SMERF pillars. The SMEs can find out the level of their investment in the pillar features. It is divided into 2 parts. So basically, first part of the tool is a rather general assessment. And in the second part, they can choose whether they would like to follow their transformation or transformation scenarios or recommendations, or they can choose to follow pillar of their choosing. Here you have an example of a result that the company can get in one pillar, particularly digital manufacturing. And here is an example of activities that are suggested to the company. For example, training, mentoring, and expert consultations. Another one of the project actions are the SMERF training. So we already held 4 of them, and 4 are yet to come. You can already register for the one that is happening on the 2nd of October, a roadmap towards green business, and be tuned for the next 3 ones that will be added pretty soon. We have another big event coming up. It's in Linz, Austria. It's called InnoGreen Market Event, where 16 of companies will be sponsored to take part and network and find out what can help their involvement. Then in the upcoming months, we will have individual support program, which will support 3 SMEs based on their diagnosis tool results and analysis, and they will be supported by mentors and experts. And then we will have the behind the scenes workshop, which will transfer the best practices from the more innovative regions like Germany and Austria to the less innovative project partners countries. And then it will be also dedicated to local and regional authorities as well as the business support organizations. So this was a quick overview of the SMERF project. I welcome you all to follow us on our webpage, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also register for the next SMERF trainings if you follow our social media. And if you have any questions, feel free to write me an email. And now I would like to introduce you our first speaker, Peter Molnár, who focuses on consulting in the field of sustainable strategies and preparations for ESG reporting of companies. He specializes in setting up ESG governance and financing, as well as the European standards for sustainable reporting and the Climate Delegated Act. So, Peter, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Laura. Good morning to everyone. I've prepared quite a consulting forward presentation for you to set the stage for other speakers as well. There will be time for questions afterwards, so feel free to write them down and then, or just stop me, raise your hand. I will try to get them answered as best as possible. So my name is Peter Molnár. I'm leading climate change and sustainability services in EY Slovakia, and I'm assisting my clients to basically understand and implement the different ESG strategies and different obligations. Majority of the clients view the ESG landscape and the sustainability landscape as a compliance forward agenda, which is I don't think that this view is very much true, and it should not be taken as just an obligation. There are a lot of opportunities hidden within the ESG landscape, and this is the topic for my today's presentation. So let's start with basic question: why are we still discussing ESG? Some of you are representing academia, and ESG was major talk 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but we are still talking about it. We're still discussing it for a couple of reasons. So let's go through these reasons quickly and let's see if they make sense to you. So we are still facing serious risks in the global scale, but not only global scale, also for the local European scale, and by proxy also in the private sector. Among these, there are several extreme weather events happening. You might have noticed that there was a small tornado yesterday in Slovakia. It didn't do any damage, but a couple of years ago in Moravia, in southern Czech Republic, it did quite a lot of damage. And there were not only residential properties, but there were also quite a few businesses affected by this. So if you want to say, okay, the climate change is not affecting Europe, it's not affecting any sort of and if it's affecting people, it's affecting biotopes, and it's not affecting businesses, you might not be completely correct, because everything is linked together in today's globalized world. And if there is a landslide in China or India, it might affect global supply chain, it might trickle down, and it might have a great effect in some costs for even European businesses, especially for small to medium enterprises, which are facing unprecedented risks in Europe and in Central Europe, especially coming from unstable political landscape or energy costs or just lack of qualified workforce or any sort of other traditional business risks. It might be affected by some sort of climate-related risk, even though they are not really aware of it. So this is the World Economic Forum list. So on the left, you can see the 10-year forecast for risks. And if you can count, there are 5 related to the climate change, then or to the environment. Then you have three critical for risks for Europe, and the same things are basically true for private sector. And it doesn't matter if you are a huge multinational or you are a small enterprise doing business in Central Europe. So this is a very good setting stage for why are we still discussing ESG, why are we still discussing sustainability, because basically ESG is about risk mitigation. I will be going through the data. I'll be going through the different systems which are in place as part of a compliance to tackle these. However, it's good to know the baseline for why are we doing this. Also, what is the cause for such developments or for the climate change? It's not the only one. That's very important to say. However, the global greenhouse gas emissions are one of the contributing factors for such changes and for some of those risks occurring. And the scientists basically in the past 20, 30 years understand that they need to decline rapidly. However, they still continue to rise. Why are we speaking about it? Again, in the ESG Forward presentation is that there are four main industries which represent the majority of contributing industries for rise in these global greenhouse gas emissions. One of them, and perhaps the most important ones, is the energy. So the energy sector is focusing heavily these days, and it doesn't matter if there is a legislation, if there is anything else occurring from the legislative point of view, from European or local governments. It's basically the energy sector understands they need to do something, because it will come time when the inputs into the manufacturing or into the energy production will be so high that they need to do something different. So this is why energy is represented on the top left. It's the most important one, and this sector has the most impact on manufacturing, which is on the bottom left. So even the small to medium enterprises, when the Russian Federation invaded Ukraine, the energy costs skyrocketed, and if even the small to medium enterprises had some form of renewables implemented, or they had a long-term contract, they were safe. If they were not, they might have their profitability affected in a very, very negative way. And there were a lot of cases throughout Europe where the small to medium enterprises didn't make it basically through. Industry and manufacturing. This one is a little bit more obvious. This is basically how we create value, at least in Central Europe mostly. And this is also one of the most difficult areas to decarbonize, because we need to create from steel, from aluminium, from cement, from various different precursors and raw materials. And these are all very much carbon heavy. So they need a lot of carbon or they emit a lot of carbon whilst they're produced. And this is not a very easy way there is not a cost-effective way how we can decarbonize this. So a lot of different manufacturing entities and enterprises are doing a lot of different initiatives to basically decarbonize. However, this is very tricky, and a lot of different scientists and experts understand that this will take time. And reaching net zero until 2050, I will come to what net zero is and why it's important, is going to be quite a challenge. Then on the right, we have two specific ones. We have transport and mobility. This is quite also a contributor to global increasing greenhouse gas emissions, because we are basically globalizing the world. We need to transport a lot more goods than previously. This is the reason why this one is affected. And this is one of the, let's call them lower hanging fruits. It's going to be costly to decarbonize transportation. However, it can be done. The problem is, and at least within the Europe, is the railway transportation. The railway transportation is one of the key decarbonization initiatives which can be leveraged even today. However, we are very, very much constrained by the state, how the railways are operated within the Europe, and the state in which the railway logistical infrastructure is basically in. There are lots and lots of different repairs occurring at the same time in Europe. And if you really want to utilize as an industrial corporation, or even the small to medium enterprises, if you want to utilize some form of green transportation, is going to be either very costly, or it's going to be very inefficient, and there will not be basically a guarantee of a time or place where the goods will arrive. So this is one of the major constraints, and the European Union understands this, and there will be a lot of investment needed in this. And then we have the agriculture and forestry. This is maybe not surprisingly one of the sectors which is most affected by the climate change and by different risks. But there are not some easy implementable measures to basically be prepared for climate change when you are doing agriculture or forestry. So these are the causes. What's going to be basically the solution, or why are we needing to find solution? Focus on the right of the slides. So on a very small example of rising of temperatures due to the climate change, we can see how it affects pretty much all of different aspects of how we live and how we do business. That would be if we see increase of temperatures by 1.5 degrees centigrade. This is already happening. So we have 2 months in average length of drought, and we have a 41% of increase in the area burned by forest fires in an average Mediterranean summer. So that would be the whole Mediterranean. So that would be Italy, that would be Spain, that would be Greece, as the countries most affected by this. This is because the temperatures are rising. However, if we go into double, so +3 degrees centigrade, that would lead to 10 months in average length of drought and 97% increase. So this is how it gets exponential, and it basically affects not only how we do business, but also how we basically live on this planet. And it might lead to some very much negative socioeconomic impacts, such as migration and different groups of people being affected, which will also lead to decrease in profitability for businesses or availability of the workforce in general. So this is really why we need to take a look. We need to make initiatives to prevent not only the climate change caused by the emissions, but also by the other different negative effects of doing industrialized business. So most of the companies which are surveyed by our 2022 study, we are working now on the revision of the study. They did a lot of public commitments. They plan to reduce emissions. However, those were just a part of the whole global business, and we need to invest heavily into doing that more. Europe seemed to be leading, and I say seemed to, because now we have several initiatives which are aimed at, okay, let's try to rethink how we do measures to prevent climate change, just because we want to do business, we want to keep profitable. However, the rest of the world, I'm not speaking about the United States of America, is understanding this now, and they're not watering down these different initiatives. If we take a look at China, if we take a look at India, Japan, South Africa, these countries are all utilizing the compliance as a measure to basically first tackle climate change, but also to tax those companies which are contributing the most to climate change. So this is something which is expected to happen sooner than later, that the governments wishing to get more money out of the businesses will utilize different parts of the ESG landscape to basically get more taxes in and basically increase their incomes. Coming to global frameworks, we have the Earth Summit in '92, which basically sets the ground for the United Nations as part of a global initiative to tackle climate change, which led to 2015 for Paris Climate Agreement, which led to 2019 European Green Deal. And you might have heard a lot of different myths and a lot of different things about the European Green Deal. I will be covering this in a short while, but there is a very clear, there are very clear years of 2030 and 2050. First one is when the Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations should be solved, basically by 2030. I think we can more or less confidently say that it will not be solved, but also by the 2030, European Union pledged to reduce emissions by 55% against the baseline. And maybe even more importantly, 2050, by 2050, the European Commission within the European Green Deal pledged to reduce emissions to zero. That would be the emissions we are producing. We are also removing those same emissions from the atmosphere, and Europe will be climate neutral. They're doing a lot of different initiatives, a lot of different legal structures, a lot of different funds to basically solve this or assist businesses to do it until 2050. And the reporting we'll be speaking about shortly, the different data are all stemming from this goal of reaching 2050 climate neutral Europe. So, Green Deal. You might have heard a lot of different things about the EU Green Deal, how it's scary, how it's against business, how it's against everything. Or that is the one side of the spectrum. On the other side is that it's not enough, that it's basically just a start and everything in between. European Green Deal has two main assumptions. It's available fairly to all member states or businesses. That will also include small to medium enterprises. And then also it's aiming to tackle the transformation itself, the financing of it. It is calculated that the decarbonization goal of Europe of reaching net zero until 2050 is going to cost somewhere between 200 and 300 trillion euros. That is the amount of money which does not even exist currently within the European Union. And this is a very severe hurdle which needs to be overcome if we want to reach the net zero. And there are a lot of skeptics, including myself, that it's not going to be reached by 2050 if a lot of different initiatives is not going to be basically done and something else it's going to be implemented. It's tackling 8 parts. So that will be the climate, the sustainable finance, research, innovation, industry. There is also energy, environmental, protection, agriculture, and transportation. So all of the main polluting or main carbon heavy industries. And it's going to be mobilizing a lot of sustainable investments, a lot of sustainability grants, and sustainable cash. So definitely, even since we have an assumption of available fairly to all, you as a representatives of small to medium enterprises should be well aware that there will be a lot of money coming in, and you might want to you might want to take some for yourself and finance your transition utilizing these funds. And they are not coming only from the European Union, they're coming from other different parts of the European bureaucratic assembly. That would be the EBRD or various different banks, state banks, but also by the banks themselves. So the private banks, from asset managers, they all have their targets, they all have their public pledges, and they want to basically finance the good things to get their financing and their risks down and the European Central Bank is pushing them quite heavily to be more resilient in terms of the climate change. They want to decarbonize their portfolios and make them more resilient to the climate change as a result. So all of the financing institutions, all of the finance world will be pushing heavily for green investments. First, they will do reduced interest rates for you or better availability of funding. However, slowly, when we are coming closer to 2050, they will be putting on risk premiums. So the financing of so-called brown or even black activities, such as coal mining, will be basically unfinanceable by the public sector. So what is available for you as representatives of SMEs? One of them would be the voluntary small to medium enterprise standards, or in short, VSME. This is a framework for reporting on ESG data, which should likely assist you and basically saying to the public, we are here, we are doing sustainable business, or we are doing business in a sustainable way, or if we are not doing sustainable business, we know how we want to make it more sustainable. And this should be something which you can really see and track where to invest, not only money, but also time in your company, which are the focus points of different initiatives around Europe to basically tackle climate change and to see what goes where. So these standards are an extension of standards which are going to be mandatory by the large corporations to be reported on. Some of them are already reporting. Some of them are going to be reporting from 2027 onwards. But this is something which is available for everyone else, and the banks and insurances and asset managers and European institutions are all going to be requiring similar information to these to basically provide you the funding, or they will be taking a look at some of these areas so that you can see, so that they can see that you are either sustainable or are on a path to become sustainable. So the key features, so these standards are dedicated to non-listed micro and small and medium undertakings, or basically companies. There are 2 modules available, basic, comprehensive. We'll go through it. It's a very limited set of indicators, so there are roughly 20 disclosures in both. It's a simplified language. Pretty much everyone can understand it. If they're within the business community, they are nothing too technical, and it thus covers impacts and risks on sustainability for the corporations. So you should understand it, and it's not that hard to produce, and it might help you to basically obtain funding, or at least understand where does your company affects sustainability, or how does sustainability affects your company. There are 2 modules. First, a basic one. It's quite a short one. It's a minimum requirement if you want to use it. However, I would highly encourage to do both of these modules. The comprehensive module is optional, can be elected to be taken. However, in total, it's only 20 disclosures. It's relatively easy. We'll go through it. You will see that it's not that different if you want to use only basic or basic and comprehensive modules. Once chosen, you should be compiling or completing the module in its entirety. Good thing is, you don't need to get this statement audited. You don't need to have an auditor taking a look at this. It's highly encouraged, but you don't need to do it. Banks will definitely be asking you in the next 5 years to come with these data. Good. Moving into the structure, we will now not go through all of the different texts. However, we can, through these standards, we can start to see where does the European Commission, and by extension everyone else financing sustainability, are taking the focus. So that would be the energy and the emissions of greenhouse gases. So if anything, try to at least understand how is your energy composed. In Slovakia, it's quite easy to have a good green mix because we don't have coal. However, in Poland and the Netherlands, in Germany, it's quite hard to get a green mix without purchasing any form of certificates for green energy. Then we have the GHG emissions. That would be the greenhouse gas emissions. That's not that hard of a calculation for scopes 1 and 2. Then understanding the pollution, how do you affect and if do you affect biodiversity in a negative way. Then water, what's the consumption, what's the withdrawal, and resource use and circular economy and waste management. For this topic, there will be a separate presentation after myself, so I'm not going to be going into much details in this, but there are really good opportunities even for small and medium enterprises to basically get your waste solved and reduce the costs associated and in the European context. Then for social metrics, there are some general characteristics, health and safety, and remuneration. You want to be as transparent as possible, and you want to comply with the local law to the point. For the governance, that's about corruption and bribery. Moving on to the comprehensive module, then we have the business model and sustainability. So how is your business model basically viewing sustainability and if it's ready for sustainability? Then there are some GHG reduction targets. Climate risks, quite an important thing. If your business is affected in the next 20, 30 years by the climate change, then some governance metrics, the gender diversity ratios, and a lot of social metrics regarding human rights and some human rights incidents. So why should you take a look? Hopefully you can answer yourself this question. There are many tools available throughout Europe which can help you. There are Excel sheets available for free, which are basically covering these data. If you have time, if you have a dedicated person within your business, try to take a look. Try to find the person who's very much who's enthusiastic about the climate change or about the ESG or about sustainability, and try to get that person to basically do this. And then you might understand from the perspective of the leadership, you might understand how your business is affected by sustainability or how you as a business affect sustainability in a positive and negative way. And then you can basically do a strategy. You can start thinking if there is an investment worth it and within, if you can get some cash. I would highly encourage coming to your representative of a bank and try to have a discussion about sustainability. They are all ready for you, or they will find someone within the bank who's ready to speak with you. This is true for all of the European banks, as they have very strict targets to collect data. So you will not get into trouble asking. They might see you as a potential partner within the transformation of your finances. So yeah, that'll be it for a very short intro about the data, about the European initiatives, and now that'll be the time for your questions. Feel free to ask. We have time. Or raise your hand or write them in chats or. Yes, Mrs. Rúčeková.
Hi. I have just a question. You had on one slide, you mentioned probably survey of SMEs and companies that are committed more or committed to climate change, certain percentages. I was just wondering, are you aware or do you have information on maybe proportion of this companies, like what are these sectors these companies are from, like those that are more committed maybe to climate change measures and those who are less committed, whether we have such mapping, possibly. I'm not sure whether you have access to such information, but I was just wondering, okay, those that are more committed, whether there is more like some sectoral, tendency of some sector SME to be more committed, or not only SMEs, maybe talk about mid caps or larger companies. Thanks.
Yes, we do. It's quite correlated to this slide, except maybe for the agriculture and forestry, and we are missing here the financial industry or the finance sector. So that would be the topmost. The finance sector feels it based on the regulations coming, based on European Central Bank and other supranational bodies questions that they need to do it. So pretty much all the European banks have pledges to net zero and to have the initiatives ready. So that would be the finance sector. Then we have the energy sector. They understand that they are very vulnerable if the fossil fuels are not available readily for good prices, that they might be in trouble from financial perspective. So this is very much the second in line in this. And then it's various forms of industry or mobility. For industry, we need to distinguish between the heavy industry and the light industry. So light industry, such as automotive or consumer goods, consumer electronics, they're maybe a little bit more reluctant to do a lot of investments in sustainability because there are not that many pain points for them. There are quite a few pain points for heavy industry. So that would be the aluminum makers, the steel makers, the cement makers. These industries are facing first increased energy costs, but then also there is the EU ETS, so that would be the emission trading scheme, and these are becoming more and more costly. Now it's roughly 100 to 110 euros per 1 ton of emission released into the atmosphere. So that is, for example, there's a steel maker in Slovakia who's releasing 9 million tons of CO2 per year. If you multiply this by this very simple formula, you can see that there are costs associated with being in the heavy industry, and they are quite a big chunk of profitability for the company. So that would be all of the heavy industries which feel the costs associated with the climate change already, and they're trying and they're scrabbling to figure out how to basically do reductions of emissions.
Quite interesting. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
You can still write later if someone thinks of anything to the chat, and we can maybe answer it later. Is that okay, Peter?
Yeah, sure.
To go back to the chat in the end. Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. I would like to give the floor to our second speaker, Mitja Krajnc, based in Slovenia and currently a co-founder and sustainability specialist at Linking Map. He will give a presentation on key steps in developing a sustainability strategy with digital tools, from understanding ESG frameworks to LCA analysis, collecting data, and setting ESG goals and KPIs. Mitja, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Laura, for this introduction. And thank you also for inviting me to this webinar. Let me just share my presentation. Okay. So yeah, I will present to you key steps in developing a sustainability strategy with the digital tools. So mainly focus for us is data-driven sustainability. So we in Linking Map combine digital and sustainable solutions, helping SME and large companies on a path of the green transition. So we are also an official partner of two ESG platforms. One is Strike Eco Impact and SmartHead. SmartHead, probably you know, it's actually a Slovakian company. So yeah, we are supporting companies on this journey toward more efficient and future-proof sustainable business. So from analytics to ESG strategies, reporting, and also at the end, eco design, which is one of the, let's say, directive, which is following quite soon. These are the main fields we are actually working on. 5 segments of my presentation. So first, I would like to present difference and let's say main paradigm shift we all need to accept. This is how sustainability can be competitive. Then I will present 2 ESG tools, so Track Eco Impact and SmartHead, and 2 case studies on CYRKL project, as we were working together as a partner in Slovenia. So let's go quickly to the first segment. So competitive sustainability index, which was presented by the University of Cambridge, highlights how competitiveness and sustainability must go hand in hand. So the sustainability competitiveness means building prosperity while protecting people on the planet. And these are, let's say, 4 different aspects which actually follows to ESG concept. And if we look a little bit to the indicators, comparing where EU and the rest of the world is standing, we can see that EU has quite a big gap between the EU best member country and the EU worst member country. So this is the gap we, in Europe especially, we have to close. So you can also see the comparison between all the member countries. Here I just highlighted Slovakia, so maybe for your interest, you can check later for all the, let's say, indicators, where is, let's say, your position right now. This competitiveness sustainability index shows where a country stands on a key sustainability measures. And so it helps to compare the progress and highlight where more actions is needed. And yeah, so let's say shows where the leaders in Europe, especially let's say Nordic countries, setting the benchmark, and the rest of the EU members. Like I said, it's available online. You can check separate indicators. Then, in contrast to orthodox approach that try to put some sustainability thinking into economics, the competitive sustainability index provides a more forward-looking, integrated picture by putting economic thinking into sustainability. So, actually, this new European competitiveness deal is built on 6 pillars, including smart regulation, investment scaling, social cohesion, and international resilience. So this approach ensures Europe remains globally competitive while also driving sustainable growth and collective well-being. Another agency or organization which is focusing to present the data is European Environmental Agency, highlights the importance of the circular economy, which already employs more than 4 million people across the EU. And European companies achieved an average ESG score of 80, showing strong alignment with the climate sustainability goals. Also for the Slovakia, you can check online some of the, let's say, fact sheet about the circular economy, waste prevention, and air pollution. So this is something also available online. So I would like to go through the slides quickly. Eurostat monitoring framework tracks how material flows through the EU economy. This is available on the level of the EU and also for each member state. Also very interesting fact, which is, let's say, important to see where we are standing in the terms of circularity. very important mindset, and also the concept which companies needs to approve and accept in their business. Then, if you were talking about GHG emissions by sectors, so Peter already explained in before, it's quite challenging, let's say, for everyone, especially if we are talking about the transport sector, which we see that actually it has increased in the recent years, not decreased as others. So also this is one of the, let's say, available information which we can check for the whole Europe. Then the gap, which is also very important, and we have to some kind of complete, is digital and green technologies. So we can see that the Europe is strong in areas like wind energy, hydrogen, and green transport. But we are still, let's say, quite lagging behind in the emerging technologies like AI, cloud, and quantum computing, which will be creating the future for sure. And however, it's not guaranteed that EU demand for this clean tech will meet by EU supply, especially by given increasing Chinese capacity and the scale. So ahead of us, there are three transformations. First of which is the need to accelerate innovation and find the new growth engines. Then second, we need to lower energy cost while decarbonizing and advancing the circular economy. And the third, Europe must adapt to geopolitical instability, which reducing vulnerabilities and strength its own security. All these transformations have already started, and yeah, we are actually in this liminal world between the previous world, which is almost over, and we are waiting for the new, let's say, world which haven't started yet. So if we continue to the EU legislation landscape, it's quite confusing for many companies and difficult to follow. So from the reporting CSRD directive to some others more sector specific, it's quite difficult to follow. So of course, this simplification, which came with Omnibus, let's say, directive, will cause a lot of, let's say, simplification in the reporting of the ESG data for the company. But anyway, we have to still follow the European Green Deal and Circular Economy Action Plan. So this will still remain, and the European Union is doing so the best they can to follow this guide. So challenges, we are still, let's say, beyond the sustainability compliance is especially data management, how to track KPIs, company goals, collect data points and report them. Then how to be efficient and competitive in this, let's say, quite fast changing world, and to establish sustainable business model, circular economy, and innovation. So all this will grow the business in the future proof way. So yeah, data-driven sustainability is a concept which means that it's by using the right data, we make better decisions. And because of that, of course, we can develop our business more resiliently and more efficiently. So yeah, why we there are tools available, and why we don't just use them and try to use the data for our favor. So like I said, this first the first platform, Track Eco-Impact Analytics, is the platform which offers like overview on the ESG data. But first of all, we need to understand the boundaries which this analytic is using. So yeah, from, let's say, cradle to gate aspect, we're going to cradle to cradle. It means that we are including circularity in our analytics. And this, let's say, scope 3 overview, it's very important, and it's on the other hand quite difficult to calculate, and this is actually one of the main challenges also Track Eco-Impact is facing. As a strategic partner and representative of Track, we are so helping companies to implement this software in their business. So this sustainability analytic program is designed to help companies to manage, access, and improve the sustainability aspect of their products through the entire life cycle. With the Eco-Impact Sustainability Platform, the green and digital transition is much easier. They can see more into the details about their impacts, environmental impacts they have with their processes and the products. So life cycle assessment is let's say the main method which can actually see into the details where are the higher impacts from material extraction through the production, transport, use phase, and then end of life of the product. With the platform, you can also design your sustainability strategy. It means that you can test some of the let's say concepts or maybe product designs which you would like to implement, and you can see what are the differences into the impacts and what are the, for example, reduction in the CO2 in the aspect of the whole life cycle. Together with the other features, you can also use IE Sustainability Consultant, which is becomes very helpful into when you are, let's say, preparing some data for reporting, or you would like to be compliant with some legislations and so on. So it helps you to be, let's say, to present the data in order to comply with some legislation. And of course, when all this data is available about the company, you can have an overview of the company level on ESG indicators. So it means that you can have practically live data about your ESG standings. You can go more deeply into individual products or product groups. You can go more, you can drill down into some hotspots about the materials which you're using and what are the impacts of these materials. Then, yeah, just another dashboard view. Very important and useful is also integration and automation of the software. It means it can integrate to your ERP systems or maybe CAD systems in development, R&D. It means that you can use the data, live ESG data, in the phase of product design. So let's say before it goes further and you spend a lot of money and time into development, you can see the differences you are making. About the licenses, so it covers 9 industry licenses. It means all this it covers the majority of the industry sectors, and also data and models and materials which are important for these industries are included into the databases. Then compliance and alignment with global regulations. It's very important, especially for exporting companies, so that they can support all the legislations around the world. Then some references, because the platform is actually originated from USA. There are a lot of well-known brands which are already using the platform for their to reduce their environmental impacts. And another platform which we are presenting also in Slovenia is SmartHead. Like I mentioned, so originally it's from Slovakia, Bratislava. We are partner of SmartHead 2 years now, and it's very, let's say, it has a good success in Slovenia. A lot of large and SME companies decided to use it. It is a tool for ESG data management, reporting, and stakeholder engagement. It means that you can easily gather the data, put in the right order for reporting, and also to communicate the result with your stakeholders through the company sustainability profile, following not just not just the activities, but also how these activities contribute to each SDG goals, and also the real impacts you are making with your activities. Probably you heard about it. It's a really useful tool. It's really user-friendly, and also for the marketing purposes, with let's say good track record. It has a lot of features. One of them is also sustainability team management, so you can actually so the leader or sustainability manager can easily work with his members and track the progress in the reporting. Then of course, inside of the tool, it's also CO2 calculators for Scope 1, Scope 2 calculations. And then you can also group your data to consolidate for companies which are organized in groups. So we also, it's very interesting when we have done some projects together with the companies, and then we got, let's say, numbers together. And this is quite interesting comparison of one same middle-sized company, showing the difference between doing the CSRD reporting in old-fashioned way in Excel and compared to, let's say, using digital tool like SmartHead. So yeah, it's about let's say 3 times less man hours used, and of course resources compared to usual way. Then I would like to present actual case studies using these tools in CYRKL project. So as I mentioned, we were chosen as a partner of CYRKL project in Slovenia, which was leading by Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Slovenia. So this project was actually going on in several countries, including 12 partners across 6 countries in 9 regions, and more than 180 SMEs were benefit from these pilot actions using different digital tools to support circularity in electric and electronic equipment sector. So sustainability strategy process we are following. It includes workshops with the sustainability team. It includes, of course, working with the digital tools. So as I mentioned, SmartHat and Track. But our main goal is that companies are confident to do this process by themselves. They are equipped with the tools and knowledge which they need to have for, let's say, following this strategy, adapting, and at the end, of course, achieving their goals. So, like I said, all the steps were done together with the tools we're using, together with the team, and at the end, together with the strategy development, we developed the process also for the reporting, because it's important part of communication of your sustainability achievements. So the reporting process is done also in platform SmartHat. And now some facts, or let's say the concrete actions we have done with one company. So in SmartHat, there's like a guided 6-step process, which guides you through the whole dual materiality assessment, through the defining the topics which are important for your companies, which impact, risk, and opportunities you identified, and so on. So here's some screenshots from this actual IRO assessment. Then also the result of dual materiality assessment, showing 10 environmental topics, 5 social, and 3 governance topics, which were material for this company. On the way of financial importance and impact of the company. Business, then some benchmark if we are comparing to, let's say, other so the benchmark is doing actually comparison of the companies which of the topics they identified as material. So in our case, there were so 121 IROs identified. Of course, larger organizations can have more IROs and so on. So, and then in the next step, when the dual materiality is done, of course, data collection is important part. And of course, SmartHat guide you from this. Also, what data points you need to collect, where can you get it, some case studies, and so on. Together with the explanation, you have also the calculators for CO2 emissions, scope 1, scope 2, and partially also for scope 3. About data points, of course, there is a concrete simplification and reduction of data points coming up in October. So for now, let's say this is something which we were following in the past, but yeah, we are expecting to be revised by EFRAG organization. And at the end, with the company, we develop KPIs, ESG goals, and activities, how to achieve them. So in this case, company organized their strategy around 8 core building blocks, which were fully aligned with the company value and values and their business strategy. In the framework, we covered 17 material ESG areas, and we break down into the 65 strategic objectives, activities, and also measurable KPIs. So the company determined to achieve their goals by 2030. So it's a 5-year strategy for this company. And another case study I would like to present is also a company from electro industry. So we were doing life cycle assessment for their product group so it's a modular high performance platform designed for complete fire protection and buildings. Quite complex electronic devices, and their goal was to upgrade their sustainability strategy to measurable environmental impacts of their products, and also to prepare to digital product passports, which is planned to be implemented after 27. And of course, this company wants to be prepared. They said, okay, we want to also implement the sustainability analytics to have all this data available anytime. And for start, of course, we did single life cycle assessments of all the products. Then we compared this life cycle assessment products between them, made like roll-up essays for the whole company, and also we tested some sustainability strategy. What if we change some material, if we do some changes, what this means in the total impact. For all this, so the main let's say advantage of Eco Impact platform is that minimum data is required to do the analysis because of preset industry modules and materials data which are already available in the platform. We need only bill of material, so material list, masses of the material, production processes, list of these processes, then supply chain. We have information about distance and type of transport, inbound, outbound, and also the information about the use phase of the product. So in this case, it's very easy to make also then life cycle assessment of all the products, looking into the 8 environmental indicators, not just global warming potential, so CO2 emissions, but also other impacts which the product has in their life cycle. So water consumption, eutrophication, material, mineral use, fossil fuel use, and so on. So the differences we are noticing in, for example, in this case was the lifespan of the product, because they were doing to extend the lifespan of the product to 30 years. And we see then how this influence in the whole life cycle assessment. We compared 4 different systems in different years of being operative. So we can see then in 8 different indicators what are the differences between them. Then what if analysis, we decided to check if what happened if we reduce or increase recycled content by 50%. What are the differences in the whole life cycle assessment? And at the end, we did roll-up analysis, so on annual quantities, all the data together to see on the level of the company, on the level of the product group, what it means on the material flow, circularity, fossil fuel use, CO2 emissions, and so on. So yeah, this is from the case studies. And just to sum up, what were the key advantages or what we achieved with the platforms. So yeah, it's with data-driven decisions, so we have more accurate data which we can rely on. We are compliant with the different framework, not just CYRKL directive, but also other which will follow. We have transparency and traceability of all this ESG data, and the goals which are made, they have concrete data behind, which we can check quarterly or yearly how we are standing in these goals. Also, the communication with the stakeholder is clear and transparent, and the most importantly, we are saving our time, money, and effort to do to ESG reporting and management of our sustainability business. So this is from my side, and thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
We have one question in the chat.
Okay, I didn't see on the way.
I will read it. It's okay. How long did it take to run whole piloting with SmartHead with company? Can you give us information how many times you met with them? Like what amount of time, effort, investment from company was needed to pilot this?
Okay. Yeah, different cases. If we are talking just exclusively for SmartHead, so the most of our, let's say, time and effort were taken for doing dual materiality assessment, because we wanted to do this really carefully, that we don't miss anything. But in overall, I would say 3 months of work, but it doesn't mean everyday work. It's just like, let's say, one meeting per week, online or on site, and then doing, of course, the tasks and data collections as we planned. So also, if I can add here, yeah, if the company is already, let's say, digitally advanced, using a lot of the tools to help their business, it's quite easy, because they have data available. They can export the data anytime. They have the processes well described, and so on. So in this case, the data for the time to do the, for example, sustainability analytics and reporting is much less than with other companies which they don't have, which they are not using digital tools. Maybe if there is anyone from the audience which already they know about SmartHead or Track Eco Impact, maybe you have any other information and experiences.
I've actually worked with SmartHead, helped them develop the tool. So the only thing we really encourage clients when they are using SmartHead is to keep the documentation. Also, what they're writing in the SmartHead, they should have it documented, because then if the auditor comes, and there might be a time that the auditor will come, based on request from a bank or from compliance perspective, sometimes clients forget that they need to hold evidence. If they put that they have a decarbonization plan, they should have it ready, even though they've included in SmartHead. Yes, we do have the decarbonization plan. Just as a note.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, all the information you are putting into the reporting and the documents, it needs to be the hard evidence in behind. Okay.
Okay, if there are any more questions later, please the audience, feel free to write in the chat. We can go back to that in the end. Thank you very much, Mitja, for your presentation. Okay, now I would like to introduce our third speaker, Zuzana Špuntová, who is a key member of the CYRKL team and brings her expertise as a specialist in waste management and circular economy. She's dedicated to guiding and formulating circular waste scanners and tailor-made projects with a special emphasis on biodegradable waste. Zuzana's experience includes technologies in the field of composting, biogas plants, and sludge management. Zuzana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lara, for the introduction. And I have to mention that I really loved the motto of you, Mitja, at the last slide of yours, that we are not alone in this and that already solutions are existing. So perfect starter for my presentation. So thank you for that. So today I would like to talk about our company CYRKL and the solutions which we are providing also to small and medium-sized companies. And I would like to share some solutions which are already existing. So the first thing, just the short introduction about our company. We are running the largest digital marketplace for waste in the European Union. We have more than 25,000 registered subjects yet, and we are trying to connect really the materials and the waste with the processors. So we are doing the matchmaking. Sometimes we call it Tinder for the waste, so very easily to imagine. And on the other hand, we are providing some consulting services for the waste management and circular economy to the companies. And in this case, we already ran more than 400 completed projects. So I have to update my presentation, honestly. Our headquarters are in the Prague, in the Czech Republic, and we are running our businesses in the 8 European countries. We have also a lot of external experts. So they are kind of helping us with the problems in different sectors. I would like to mention that we really have to realize that we are facing a lot of challenges in the industry, and everyone is talking about the CO2 offsets and targets and so on, but we really have to realize that there is no solution for this without solving the material side of the problem. We also have to realize that the waste management market is really worth a lot of money, so there is some also financial value lying in the sector. So this is very important to realize. We as the company, we are working in many sectors. I would like to mention manufacturing, automotive, glass, food and beverage, and retail, in which we have a lot of solutions. Also, I would like to put emphasis on the fact that the current situation in the waste management in the European Union is that we are really facing a really massive information asymmetry of the market, because on the one hand, we have the producing companies which are trying to save as much money as possible on the waste treatment, but on the other hand, we have the waste management companies which are trying to make as much money as possible. And there are some issues in between those two. So we are kind of trying to handle this and to really open the market and to really make the producing companies to be able to see the whole situation, and kind of also helping the waste management companies to really see the problems and needs of the producing companies. So our solutions, which you can also use in your SMEs companies. So the first thing is that we are offering something as a database of the contacts. We are calling it industry directory. You can find it easily on our website. So if you write down www.cyrkl.com, you can open it. It is like a database of 15,000 plus contacts of the recyclers and processors of the waste. The majority of those contacts is from the Czechia, Slovakia, Poland, and Austria. Then we have a few interesting contacts also for the Hungary and DACH German-speaking region. A little bit of them also for the France and Italy, where we are kind of strong in the consultancy services. And we definitely have a plan to really spread also into the other countries, but a lot of work is needed for this. So this database is basically working as a LinkedIn for the waste. So you can just really scroll through the contacts, see what is the name of the company, what they are offering to you, what they are able to process. Sometimes they are also uploading some more information, for example, the price tags and so on, so you can get inspired. And to be completely honest with you, this is running basically on the AI tools. So people are or our consultants, we are not really editing this that much. It is mostly based upon the AI, but we are doing some fraud checking, so no worries, it is safe. On the other hand, we have the marketplace, as I mentioned at the beginning. So we are running the biggest marketplace for the waste in the Europe. We have more than 25,000 registered users. It is working very on the simple system. You can just upload your offer. You should really describe the material which you are uploading, and you are just waiting for some offers from the processors. Or you can be the processor who is looking for some material, and you can upload the demand, what you are looking for. We are doing the manual check of those offers because AI is still not the best if we are talking about the waste. It is still not really able to recognize all the details of the waste materials because those pictures, of course, by the eye, it looks very similar. So the AI is still not really a great helper in this, but we are trying to include AI as well. We have a machine learning algorithm in behind, which is trying to make this matchmaking for you. So it is trying to actively connect you with the processor, or to connect the processor with the waste producer. We are sending also email notifications to our customers, so you can get more than 3,000 suggestions a day for the materials which are valuable and suitable for you. How to use the marketplace is very important to know because basically if you open the marketplace, you can see that a lot of the offers on the marketplace are not completed. So it means that you have like very bad quality photos. Some people are not really taking care about the good descriptions of the materials and so on. So it is really important to really realize that the quality of your offer should be really the best because the processor is also really trying to find the best material and the best value. Also, we would like to mention that the marketplace is kind of helping you with really the digitalization of your waste management, because we really know that a lot of companies are still running on the Excel sheets. Some of smaller companies are running on the paper-like system. So they really have just like a few papers somewhere in the office, nothing digital, which is then really hard to follow, to check, to see. So we are kind of encouraging our customers and also the general companies to really move a little bit to the digital side. And also, we found out based upon our experiences that in the offline world, it takes more than 4 months to really close the deal. And this marketplace is offering you the quicker solution. So usually it is possible to close the deal within the 4 days, which is much faster. To be honest, the marketplace is the best working tool for the very simple materials, such as the metals. It is very good for the high value plastics. It works perfect for some paper materials, maybe for the wood. But if we are talking about more problematic materials, then we are offering our clients the consulting services, because those more problematic materials, of course, it is not so easy to find the solution and the processor for them. So we are really helping the companies to map the material flow, which are flowing through the company. We are offering also the digital solutions, but basically we are providing the service called circular scan or waste scan. In this, we are visiting the producing company. We are really doing something like an audit of the current situation. So we are really just watching the situation in the company, where the waste is produced, what is the composition of the waste, and then we are kind of processing and commenting on the current situation situation of the processing of the waste, and we are trying to bring a new solution. Basically, we are trying to move in the hierarchy of the waste management. If you imagine the pyramid of the waste management, you have the several way of how to treat the materials or the waste, and we are kind of moving forward in this hierarchy. So we are helping the companies with this, and the result is that the first, number one, we are trying to save some money for the company, because as I mentioned in the beginning, there is a huge asymmetry on the market, which means that the waste management companies, they are having like really large or high fees on the materials, and the producing companies are not aware of this. So we are able to find some savings in this because we are opening the market, and we are usually also able to find some environmental savings because if we are moving in the hierarchy of the waste management and the treatment of the material, then you can definitely save some CO2 equivalents, which is also very valuable for the companies, especially if we are talking about the targets and the environmental goals which they have. In our consultancy services, we are also providing other services. For example, we are doing the recyclability analysis. This is very valuable for the retail market. So we're kind of trying to bring new solutions to the material side of it. Then we are also doing the green sourcing, which is that we are finding some material for the recyclers. For example, we were looking for the specific type of the plastics called PA66, and we were doing a huge analysis of the market in the European Union, where we were looking for this material, for example, in the old vehicles, and we were kind of trying to source this maybe a little bit extraordinary sources of the material for the client. We are also providing personalized projects, and we are helping with the legislative side for the companies. This is also very interesting for the SMEs because the smaller companies are usually a little bit lost in the legislative side. So we are kind of helping to really stay aligned. We are also preparing them for the upcoming legislation, and really we are trying to helping them with the few changes in their processing systems and so on if it is needed. I would also like to put an emphasis on the last service which we are offering right now, and it is also interesting for maybe some smaller companies which are doing some smaller reconstructions or maybe demolitions. So we are providing also pre-demolition audits, and then we are also helping the companies with the whole process of demolition and circular construction. So the first thing is that we are providing analysis of the current situation of the building. So we are really just going through the buildings, and we are trying to map the material possibilities in the buildings. Then we are providing some short document which is called pre-demolition audit. It is really just a basic document in which you can see the material flows which you have in your building, and you can see also the possible solution for the materials. So then if you are deconstructing the building, you can really see what to do with the material and how to gain the value from the material. So you are not basically paying for the processing of those materials, but you are gaining some money for those materials. And the last step is that we are really cooperating through the whole demolition and construction process. We are really going step by step. We are handling all the materials and so on. But it is really something new, especially in the Czechoslovakian area. So if you are maybe even a smaller company and you would like to have at least some ideas or some advices how to do it, then do not hesitate to contact me. Also, you can find a lot of good materials and know-how materials on our website. So just go there and you can see some examples how you can follow this deconstruction and construction process. And this is everything from my side. If you have some questions, definitely come back to me, but I feel like it was very self-explanatory. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Zuzana. If anyone has any questions, please feel free.
I feel like it is just showing you the services. So maybe the questions would be more to the specific topic, but no worries. Also, I can share the email with you later on. So if you have any questions, or reach me through the LinkedIn. I'm very active on the LinkedIn, so feel free. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions for the time being, before the second section, we can have a 5-minute break for a coffee and so on. So I will put a timer and see you all in 5 minutes, and we'll continue. Okay, we can continue, I guess. Our 5 minutes are up. So I would like to introduce our last speaker. Micah, are you ready? Yes, you're here. Okay.
Yes, I'm ready.
Micah is part of the Technical University of Košice team and is working on digital and sustainability projects. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you confirm to me that you see
Yes.
the presentation in presentation mode? Okay, cool. Okay, so I would just like to give you a little bit short and simple overview of some upcoming calls for public funding that might be related to this digitalization and green transformation topics. So I would just start. There is, of course, to foster European businesses and in particularly small and medium enterprises to digitally transform. There is already set up different funding opportunities for you, as you're probably aware. There are different instruments that you can use. Be it either projects or grants, but there are also financial instruments such as guarantees, project bonds, or some other financing instruments from investment bank and so on. Today, I would just like to focus on 3 specific types of funding, and that is Horizon calls, Horizon project proposals, I3 instrument funded from European Regional Development Fund, and also EUIC, European Innovation Council platform, and all the opportunities that they also provide. So maybe just a few sentences per instruments. Horizon collaboratives are your route for multi-country research and development to demo with generous funding, but you have this minimum partner setup and topic-defined technology readiness levels. European Innovation Commission platform and their calls. They are SMEs and companies fast line to market, and they have this grant plus optional equity financing and the ability to apply solo at high technology readiness levels. And I3 is the interregional scale-up sort of thing, funding investment-heavy portfolios at TRL 6+ with around 70% co-financing baseline. So there are strong SME spend requirements and a mandate to, for example, knit together regional value chains in digital, green, and smart industry. So in Horizon, we may be talking about research innovation actions that are suitable for companies, mid-caps, larger companies, SMEs, to take part in. Research innovation actions are funded at 100%, while innovation actions are funded at 70% for for-profit entities, but for non-profit entities, they can still receive 100%. There are, of course, several requirements for how many partners should be in partner project consortium, and that might be a little bit confusing. So you can read about that by yourself, or you can reach out to us. But just short information that these technology readiness levels, so where your innovation or your technology is, starting from some proof of concepts or concepts, down to all the way to these lab pilotings and commercialization and system of testing. So these TRLs usually in research innovation actions work from around TRL 3-4, which are these proof of concept starting innovations, to 5 and 6, moving more to testing this in lab conditions and then wider lab conditions, while innovation actions usually start around TRL 5-6, which is higher, and aim for 7-8, which goes more into this practical whole system commercialization, sort of real environment for testing and running technologies. Of course, and you can definitely find all the information about those calls on Funding and Tenders portal. There are various topics that are covered there, of course. When it comes to European Innovation Council, that is structured a little bit differently and is much more SME centric. There are various types, we could say, of possible support from European Innovation Council. So there is this accelerator. They have pre-accelerator. They have transition sort of a thing, and they have various other challenges and so on. So they're a little bit different. They offer lump sum grant component for near market innovation activities at technology readiness level 6-8, plus an optional equity component to take you through market entry and scale up. And you can apply as a single SME for certain types of these support calls. So you don't need to have consortium, but for certain ones you need to have, or you should have. It's better to have those. So accelerator, for example, expects you to have completed TRL 5 already and to finish the TRL 8-7 range. And typical activities here include, for example, system level prototyping, demo in relevant environments, certification, regulatory work, industrialization, in manufacturing scale up, and go to market execution. For example, EIC transition sits a step earlier, so you have it 100% aimed at taking results from earlier EU funded research from TRL 3 or 4. But in general, the EIC focuses on breakthrough, some game-changing deep tech across digital AI, energy, and sustainability, and, for example, advanced materials and manufacturing, when we're talking about, of course, the need for material focus when we are going towards sustainability. And also we have interregional innovation investments, I3, which are ERDF-backed instruments, and they are more aimed at scaling value chains across regions. So you can think of it as investment-heavy collaborative portfolios that turn some tech into deployment across multiple territories. And consortia are larger, deliberately territorial. It's funny what are the requirements. So it's way more even confusing. So various different regions, list 3 eligible countries and so on. So you can read it later on. But projects also typically sit at TRL a little bit higher than 6 and aim squarely at demonstration and market uptake. And thematically, Y3 also focuses on digital and green transformation. So when we look at these EIC opportunities, what is open right now is EIC accelerator, but the first step is open now. Of course, you can see that that's periodically open, and it's closed. So it's divided into various steps. Step 1 is short application. You can file. Step 2 is more like full proposal submitted to those cut-off dates, and step 3 is interview with EIC experts and investors. And outcomes can be grant only, blended finance, so you blend grant and equity or equity only. There are also adjacent offers, EIC step scale up, which extends the equity firepower. So it's useful if you're scaling strategic technologies and need larger tickets for industrializations and growth. There is also EIC pre-accelerator by Widera, which is designed to raise investment readiness of early stage deep tech teams in widening countries, so they can apply later for EIC accelerator. And of course, you have this EIC transition that I was mentioning before, and so on. So there are various things. So just to summarize, accelerator for solo SME scale up at high TRL, transition for neat TRL, when we're going after validation and business building, pathfinder for early breakthrough science, step for larger equity to scale, and pre-accelerator to get teams investment ready. Regarding horizon calls, there are several calls that have been running, and the end deadlines for submissions are very close to September and October. So those that are in bold are probably realistic if you plan, if you think about joining some consortiums and so on. Those that are, not highlighted, they are very tight deadlines. So what's open are several topics in digital industry and space, sort of thematic pillar. When it comes to climate, energy, and mobility, there are various open calls. It's varying whether they are one stage, single stage, or two stage. So we can see here focus on energy systems, also on construction as well. And we can see also solar, thermal plants and systems and so on. There has been also battery mentioning, also using artificial intelligence and big data, and also working with advanced materials. And there are some calls on artificial intelligence or on advanced computing and big data or circular industries, but these call submissions end very soon. So they might not be so relevant, but it's good to have at least information about like what the calls topics were for you. And why 3 instrument? That's something that I was mentioning, is something more closer to maybe imagine some Interact projects. You can imagine those, and they are open. So that's a very good information. They are currently relevant. The difference between them is that the Strand 1 strengthens EU value chains through interregional investments, and Strand 2A integrates less developed regions into those value chains. So depending on where you are, what do you foresee and which activities and so on, and your partners, possible cooperations and so on, and your capacities, you can think about these strands that are open, and there is also a capacity building call. But it's important to remember that here the focus is on smart specialization, agendas that are already in the region, embedded in the region, and thinking about also involving various partners and joining mixed consortiums. That would be it. When it comes to these calls, if you have any questions, if you want to join maybe some consortiums, if you wanna match with consortium partners, project partners, or lead partners, or agencies from other countries, we are in a network with them, so we are able to also act as a matchmaker for you if we realize that we do not have capacities, or you are better off joining different consortium. So feel free to reach out. And also you can connect with us through joining also our business travels, where you can also network with various business professionals and also various project partners. So that would be it for this presentation. I would just shortly and smoothly transition maybe to second one, since that would be easier. Or maybe Laura, you can maybe tell me whether we have some questions in the chat, or whether there are some questions from the audience.
No questions in the chat, but if anyone wants to ask anything, you can raise your hand so we can see. Okay, I think you can continue.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we will have recording probably, Laura, as you were recording this. We might send presentations and also like contacts to people that were attending this, so you have enough of time to maybe come back to all the speakers or some of the speakers later. Okay, so I'll maybe end this with a little bit more inspirational, a little bit more farther insight looking presentation. So we're talking, this whole webinar was focused on also digitalization, but also green transformation. And for all of that, you of course need money, you need funding for that, but at the same time, you also need a workforce that is qualified. you need to either outsource it or requalify or gain a qualified workforce. And thus, digital and green skills are important as we are navigating through these new paradigms, new society, with new risks. As we were speaking of these risks, climate change and so on. So this is also maybe a relevant topic, and to also have some information on that. It might be interesting to say that in the last couple of years, when we were talking about we try to foresee what's going to happen in the future or in upcoming decade, we would work with VUCA models. And those VUCA models are frameworks that stand for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So, thinking about rapid and unpredictable nature of change, uncertainty, unpredictability of events and issues, complexity, intertwined forces and issues, making cause and effect relationships unclear, ambiguity, unclear realities, potential misunderstandings stemming from mixed messages. So these elements articulated how organizations perceive their current and potential challenges. But these frameworks started to be obsolete as COVID-19 came and as these more rapid transformations and changes in environment happened, and we sort of transitioned to bunny models, where we sort of have this in mind that this was also created by James Cascio. It addresses how global systems are fragile, even brittle. Individuals and organizations experience a pervasive sense of worry. So there is like anxiousness around that. Cause and effect relationships are often disproportionate or unpredictable, so non-linear. And events and information can be exceedingly difficult to fully understand, so incomprehensible. So maybe with that in mind, that helps us to maybe think a little bit differently, even though we might say that VUCA is still real, but as we can see, its realities are even less stable. And there has been many mappings of the relevant topics in the future. For example, those and very interactive maps that were displayed on World Economic Forum by Institute for the Future from Sao Paulo. You can find it also on the internet, and maybe it makes sense to maybe talk about like the future, how it's going to look like. We have difference in business models. We have differences in how the business are operating, infrastructure, and so on. And we also have these emerging technologies around quantum computing, around artificial intelligence. And for example, according to Dr. Michio Kaku, Japan internationally acclaimed physicist and best-selling author, he was talking about potential, how it might look like in the future in 2050 or 2100, that you wake up and we let's hypothetically say we came to the point where we use quantum computers. So it's way easier to work with large amounts of data to run a lot of simulations. So for example, if you take shower, wastewater is being analyzed, and there is like all these kinds of things are analyzed. If there is some virus, and if there's some new virus, there can be really fast identification of how the proteins are folding and how you can find materials to neutralize the protein folding of such virus, so you can avoid, for example, these large world pandemic situations. Or there might be some solutions to energy crisis that we're now facing. So quantum computers can finally determine how to stabilize hot gas inside a fusion reactor, so that almost an unlimited amount of energy can be extracted from fusing hydrogen into helium, and so on. So there are possible changes, and it sounds sci-fi, but maybe that's also good to think about. Like those are the potential things that, and also with AI, it changes also how you think, how you work. Certain jobs change, you don't lose job, but you need to adapt to different skills that you need to have. So according to, and when we come back maybe from this thought from 2100 to come back to 2025 and possible really fast upcoming trends. And when we look at what Gartner foresees, we can see that upcoming years highlight trends such as agentic AI. So autonomous AI can plan and take action to achieve goals set by the user. So we have a new virtual workforce of agents to assist, offload, and augment the work of humans or traditional applications. We might have technology solutions which enable organizations to manage the performance of AI systems. This information security, emerging technology aimed at systematically discerning trust. Also other trends related to quantum computers, because now with quantum computing, we have different security risks that come with that. Ambient invisible intelligence, where we have a little bit more natural intuitive experiences, even though we use sensors and so on, real-time tracking and sensing objects, of items. We have more we're on fast track to energy efficient computing. So approach to increasing sustainability through more efficient architecture, code, and algorithms and hardware that is optimized for the efficiency and the use of renewable energy to run systems. And also various hybrid computing possibilities, spatial computing. So those possible enhancements of physical world using technologies like augmented and virtual reality, and polyfunctional robots and neurological enhancements that can help us to read and decode brain activity more and better. We might not feel all of these things yet in many smaller companies, so on. So we can see that there are various processes that are running right now in companies, but we can definitely think about how it might slowly change. So based on these things, we can, think about, okay, how these all things might increase efficiency of this, but also my workforce needs to have these skills, and how I am going to acquire those skills. That's a question. That's a question for you. There have been mappings of digital skills, for example, in Europe, and SMEs, small and medium enterprises, report that it's still, for some of them, hard to retain qualified staff, and some of them, and a lot of them, struggle with basic and introductory digital skills. Thankfully, we have a lot of SMEs that do have a lot of digital skills, and their full business model is focused on this service economy. But of course, there's also experience economy that is upcoming, that is approaching this and commoditizing service economies as well. And that also requires improving, advancing digital skills here as well. So if we had to focus maybe on this digital and green transformation in the line with the sustainability thought, there are relevant maybe 4 topics or components of skills, or categories of skills. Therefore, digital hard skills, digital soft skills, and green hard skills and green soft skills, where we can say that these digital hard skills, we can already see it here. Digital hard skills and digital soft skills, we already might have information about those, but yeah, of course, we can learn way more about them, and it requires new knowledge. But there are also these green hard skills that are being formulated better and better, and they also are important for this green transition in the companies, in businesses, because of course it's not only about advocacy or some ideological approach, but of course data informed decisions and decision making that is focused not only on qualitative but also quantitative analysis and simulations and so on. So it pretty much can copy the digital approach. Here is just a maybe really small overview of potential platforms that person that is interested in acquiring skills for digital and green transformation, where you can find such knowledge. The first ones are mostly recognized, and they have certificates and so on, and they might sometimes provide more managerial viewpoints, not necessarily always, but they can. And there are also, for example, these free platforms where you can also learn about these cooperations or correlations among between digital and green transformation. And one of such free platforms to learn more about digital transformation and green transformation and gain information about the skills and so on is also our Circular Innovation Academy that we developed within our project Smart Circuit, with consortium of various partners, various research institutes and companies as well, where you have this opportunity to have generalist viewpoint, but you can go across several sectors that are relevant, that are producing a lot of waste currently, such as construction sector, electronics sector, textile sector. So you can gain preliminary information and some cross-versal insights on how to approach maybe digital and how to see digital and green transformation in practice in industry. We are cooperating here with also digital innovation hubs throughout the Europe, and this course is totally free. We are enrolling and we're opening this in 24th of September. So very nice that we have this conversation here today. If you would be interested, you can let us know, because this is a little bit like a closed type of enrollment for the first time. There are various possibilities. There's interesting module where you can do your capstone project, and where you can network with other individuals, but also with the DIHs and companies that are in this network. So you can possibly also gain opportunities for cooperations, for new carriers, and for common collaboration. So yeah, if you're interested, you can let us know, and you can be enrolled here. It's really for free. And maybe I would end this with the thought that we need to be tranquil. The smartest people here in the world are right now practicing the art of flexibility. So I would end this with the fact that all of this information should help us to be more flexible and to change and to be ready to learn something new. So hopefully, I would also end this webinar for all of the speakers, and thank all of the attendees for attending this webinar. And hopefully you have received some valuable information. You can contact us. We can contact you for sending you some additional resources that if you need, or contacts for speakers and so on. And once again, you can also contact us in regards to projects or Circular Innovation Academy or other learning resources. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Majka. In case there are some questions, please you can feel free to write in the chat. Nevertheless, I will send the presentations and the recording of today's meeting to everyone who participated today. And later you will be able to find it on our YouTube as well. Okay, I guess that's it then for today. I would like to thank again to all of our speakers. It was very valuable. I hope everyone found it enlightening. And have a nice rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, and have a nice day.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.